Okay. Hey, Brittney, how are you?
Hey, Josh.
We're in our hotel in outside of Boulder, Colorado, and we figured we'd do a quick interview, a little question and answer with Brittney, and see how winging it's going. Maybe get a little background on Britt.
Yeah.
So first off, Brittney, tell us about winging it. What is winging it? What are you doing?
Well, winging it has been so fun. We are traveling the country, visiting flight schools, visiting really awesome places, and highlighting the best in training and the best in technology. And along the way, I get to have really fun adventures and hope that it excites people to maybe have similar adventures and go get similar training in aviation and just really spark an interest in flying, flight training, and all things airplanes.
Great. So let's start at the beginning. What got you into aviation to begin with? Where'd you get the bug, etc.? What got you in?
What got me into aviation? I've always traveled a lot on airplanes. I felt like the airport was always my favorite place to be. Not usually a small GA, general aviation airport, but I love the big commercial airports as well. And I think I really got the bug when I was probably 10 or 11 years old and went to the Chicago Air and Water Show. I love aerobatics. I love watching all the awesome pilots at air shows.
Well, that's great. So when did you start flying? When did you really start flying?
I didn't start flying until I went to college. That was when I had the opportunity to afford it. So I started lessons at the University of Illinois down in Champaign and did all my flight training there in Illinois.
So what's your official FAA certification? What do you have from the FAA?
My FAA certifications, I am a commercial pilot. I have single engine and multi-engine land ratings, and I'm also a flight instructor. But one day I hope to get the seaplane part.
Okay. We got an odd question from a gentleman on Periscope. If you were a toaster, how would you feel?
If I was a toaster?
Yeah.
Toasty.
Perfect. All right, so back to some flying stuff. How did you like instructing? How long did you instruct for, and how did you like it?
I instructed full-time for about 2 years. That was all the way back starting in 2006. And really since then, I've got to do it part-time, on and off, giving flight reviews, maybe helping a student knock the rust off. I love flight instructing. It's so awesome to see people excited and learn something for the first time. And it's just a really fun thing to do. It keeps you on your toes when you're a flight instructor.
So the chairman of the board of our company, Redbird Flight Simulations, just joined us on Periscope, and he asked,
Hi, Craig.
Hi, Craig. And he asked, how do you feel about seaplanes?
I love seaplanes. I don't have my seaplane rating yet, but it's number one on my list as the next rating to get after all my fun with winging it.
Okay, sounds good. So when you were learning to fly, you had to fly solo for the first time at some point, right?
Yep.
So I understand you have a pretty interesting story about that. So tell me about your first solo.
My first solo was pretty funny. I didn't know I was going to go solo. My instructor got out of the airplane, we pulled to the side, and she said, okay, go ahead. It's your solo day. And I pulled up. It was actually an intersection takeoff, meaning I wasn't at the very end of the runway. The airport switched directions on which way to take off. And so I lined up for the runway I had just taken off on, but they really wanted me to face the other way. And air traffic control kept saying, please make a 180, please make a 180. And I sat on the runway because I had never heard what a 180 was before. And I got so flustered and so embarrassed that I actually just asked if I could taxi back to the ramp. I got out of the airplane, my instructor and I went and had lunch, and then I came back in solo, knowing what a 180 was. So my first solo was a little memorable just because everyone at air traffic control was definitely watching me at that point.
So you got two first solos. You got the first solo taxi and then first solo fly.
Yeah, I did.
So what's the most interesting place you think you've ever flown to? Where's general aviation taking you?
Oh gosh, the most interesting place I've ever flown to. I've been to a lot of fun places. Most of my flying's been in Illinois, Maryland, and in Texas. I think actually being here in Boulder has been amazing and probably the most interesting. I've never really flown at altitudes this high, so this last couple of days has been so fun.
Yeah, so let's actually talk about your time here at Boulder. We're shooting episode 4 of Winging It, episode 4. When does it release?
This is going to release on Wednesday, or a week from tomorrow, May 18th. Yeah.
A week from today.
What day is today?
I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday.
Okay, a week from today.
A week from today. Good job. So have you ever flown in the mountains before?
Not really, just a little bit, like the Shenandoah area out east, but nothing this high. Nothing where I've actually had to seriously think about oxygen, about weather, real kind of intense mountain weather.
Gotcha. So what did you find? I mean, what was sort of the most, what stuck out the most to you as somebody coming from not really flying in the mountains to getting your training? Yeah, getting your training the last couple of days with specialty flight.
What stood out most so far, it's actually the fact that everything I've ever learned in ground school, getting my private license, my commercial, I actually got to put into full application flying here. You memorize regulations and you talk about different type of clouds and dew point and fog, but it is really, full force application here in the mountains. And it's been so neat. I just feel like things I've studied and learned in ground school, I'm really doing when I get to go mountain flying.
Okay.
It's been awesome.
So we have a question from somebody on Periscope. Will you be releasing a video about your experience with the Redbird crosswind trainer?
Absolutely. We got to do that just before I came here to Boulder. And so you'll get to see me on the crosswind trainer figuring it out and really working my muscles to do the crosswinds. That was so fun.
So that'll be releasing next week as well?
A week from today, yeah, crosswinds as well.
Okay, so episode 4 will be mountain flying and crosswind landing.
Yeah, because a part of mountain flying is, winds are pretty significant. A lot of the airports in the mountains only have one runway. You don't get an option of switching to a more favorable runway for a crosswind. So it ties in really nicely, and it was great to do crosswind training as well. So
I remember you were struggling a little bit at first with the crosswind landings, and our Taylor Albrecht, your trusty instructor, had some interesting information about how much time an average pilot has in crosswind. What was that about?
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, it was really significant, and I definitely don't have the right stats, but it's something like when you think about how much time someone spends on a crosswind landing, it's maybe 2 minutes every time you're practicing. The rest of it's going around in patterns, or the rest of it's in cruise. And so probably that about 2.5 hours I spent with him this week was probably equal to all of the crosswind training that you really get, throughout your first couple of hours or training as a private pilot. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. So how do you think you did on the crosswind lander?
Well, I think I did good. At the end, the cool thing about the crosswind is it scores you. You can get all the way at one scale, which is crash, and you can get 1,000 points. And I'm not going to give away what I scored, but I'm pretty proud of some of my final scores.
Okay, sounds good. So let's circle back a little bit to your time as an instructor. When you were instructing people, what's kind of the most common mistake people make when they're learning to fly? You know, what did you see a lot? What's the most common mistake?
I don't know necessarily a specific mistake, but I think a lot of times people don't like to do the prep work, or life gets in the way and you don't necessarily get to study as much or do the chair flying. And, you know, a lot of that really helps, you know, getting in even the sim to work muscle memory, things like that. So I feel like that's really important. And a lot of that is too, just so you don't get rusty on what you're learning. You know, oftentimes it's really hard if you're flying once a month, and if you can bring that frequency together. And so I feel like that's really, you know, where people kind of struggle the most. Radios can be scary at first, but you get used to it and it becomes normal. Even landings, it's just kind of repetition, and the more often you can do that repetition, the better it gets. You just have to keep on going and start to get, you know, the picture of what it looks like and make it better and better, and then all of a sudden it just clicks.
So why do you like being a pilot?
Why do I like?
Yeah, not just playing, because there's lots of people that are interested in aviation, but there's only a tiny fraction of people that actually become pilots. What is it about being a pilot that really excites you?
Oh, there's so many things. I think in general, to be in control of an airplane is a feeling that can match no other, and the excitement and the adrenaline and the challenge that you have as you learn to be a good, safe pilot is just so fun. And then the other thing, the aviation community is so amazing, and to go out to a local airport and be a part of that is something I love.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that aviation community. You're a female in the aviation industry, and this question comes from somebody on YouTube, and they're asking, what is it like to be a female in an industry like aviation, especially since there are so few of us women pilots and instructors?
It's a really good question. I think the women that are in aviation, again, there's so much about community in aviation, and the fact that you're a woman pilot in aviation. I feel like us gals really stick together, and women pilots are always there to offer you help, offer you tips, take you flying, have a new adventure that you may not have had, you know, flying a new airplane, things like that. I think sometimes it's hard because people might automatically assume you're hanging out at the airport because you're there to give your boyfriend a ride home, or you're meeting your dad, and that hurts. And so I wish people would not necessarily assume that first. They need to assume that I'm there to fly. Right.
So have you found, how long have you been in aviation and in the industry as a professional?
About 10 years.
Okay, so in your about 10 years of experience, have you found being a woman in aviation has gotten easier, or do you not really have an opinion on that, or is it's just as hard as it always been? Do you think the industry is evolving at all?
I think it is. I think it might be at a slower kind of snail's pace at the moment, but I think the things that women in aviation do, and their conference where everyone comes together and feels so motivated, is a big help, where everyone's coming there to help people advance professionally. At Oshkosh, they have the Women Venture, and every year all the women pilots gather and take that big photo, and things like that are really great outreach, and we just need to keep on doing it. And I feel like there are so many supporters. I've had obviously a lot of male flight instructors, and they've always been supportive, and so we just need to keep that going and always be kind of aware of you know, that support. So I think it gets better and better, but 6% of women are pilots, and that's still like a crazy, ridiculously low number.
Yeah, and that's the number for private pilots. That's probably less for people in the industry, you know. Of the employees of big companies in aviation.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's when you look at engineering, you know, the medical field, that is growing a lot faster. So there's obviously things that we still need to do in aviation.
Do you think there's opportunities in aviation for females in specific and young people in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are seeing that the airlines need to hire pilots. We, you know, it's a good time. I mean, it's a good time to be in aviation as a woman, for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about your career. Where did you start in aviation? After you were an instructor at U of I, where did you go?
After I was done full-time instructing in Illinois, I went to Frederick, Maryland, and I worked for the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association.
So what did you do with AOPA?
Gosh, well, I was there for almost 8 years. So I started on the Pilot Information Center hotline, which is the call center, and member pilots can call and ask any question about ownership, regulations, safety. They can have you walk them through an instrument approach and give them instruction. That was so fun. So for a couple of years, I was a specialist on the information hotline. After that, I had the opportunity to work in government affairs, and I actually got to do some work with security policy and help, you know, make those changes down in DC. And then after about 2 years of that, there was the opportunity, and AOPA wanted to focus more on growing the pilot population, and I got to transition and start to participate in that. And gosh, I love that. It's so important to me to, you know, make sure people are coming into this industry.
So, and then after AOPA, where'd you go?
And then after that, I went to Redbird, where I am now, and am having just the greatest time out there in Austin, Texas.
So what do you do at Redbird?
At Redbird, besides winging it, I'm the director of Imagine Flight, which is a network we're building to support all the flight schools out there that use our sims, and to help them really provide that awesome experience for their student pilots and their customers. And it's been really fun to get to build that and support the industry and really support flight training.
So when did you start at Redbird? This is a question from YouTube.
I started at Redbird about 1 year and 1 month ago, just before Sun and Fun last year.
Yep, and great to have you. So,
and I love it.
Let's just a real quick bit. What does Redbird do? What does Redbird Flight Simulations do in aviation?
Well, in general, I think the obvious thing is we create awesome simulators that make it capable for people to afford flying, to get them to train and have more access to you know, advanced training that you may not get with just an airplane. And I think we also provide a lot of flight training solutions, the things we're doing now with Imagine Flight, the things we have done at Skyport in our flight training laboratory, just growing to really support the flight training industry.
So we got another question on YouTube. What's your favorite part about Redbird that you've found so far?
Well, I love working with all my coworkers. It's just been fun to be a part of a company that's always thinking of new ideas, and that really is so passionate about what we do for aviation and what we do for flight training. And Redbird's not a big company, so that if you have an idea or if there's something you really believe in, it's so neat to get to share that with everyone and try it. And that's a little bit about what winging it is right now. And it's been great. We're having so much fun with it, and people really like this adventure.
So tell me, what's the next stop for winging it after this one?
So we're in Boulder now, and then we're actually going to go to Boston, because I don't know if you heard, we were supposed to be there last week, but the weather was not happening, and low clouds for just days on days. So I'm going to go back to Boston. I'm going to fly with Michael Goulian, who is the amazing Red Bull air race pilot and air show pilot. And then after Michael Goulian, we'll be back here, and I get to go to Aspen, and I'm part of a high school team that's going to fly around the world in the simulators. I have a lock-in for 48 hours.
That'll be exciting.
Yep,
so,
going back to high school.
So you're gonna get to do some acrobatics with Microbio.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to that, or are you a little scared?
Oh no, I'm so looking forward to it. He is such a awesome pilot, and he's such a great instructor. I've seen him, you know, when we did 1 week to solo last year and some other things. Like, he's an amazing instructor and pilot, so it's going to be so awesome.
All right, so we got to give a special shout out to Charlie Gregoire. He just joined our Periscope feed. He's the other member of the Winging It team. He couldn't make it on this trip, but hi, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
So, what so far? Where have you stopped with Winging It? Where have you gone so far?
Well, we started in DC at Aviation Adventures. Then we went to Case Western, or no, we didn't. Then we went to OSU, and I got to join the flight team. So, giving hellos and good lucks to my OSU teammates who are competing at the Knife is Safe Con right now. So that was second. After that, we went to Cleveland to Case Western, where I got to be a part of the medevac flight team. And then here in Boulder, and also in the Denver area, back to Boston. So that's where we've been so far.
So Greg from on YouTube just asked a question. Said, I noticed the flight simulators in the Winging It scenes, which look amazing. Thanks. Does Redbird have an airplane fleet?
We do have an airplane fleet. Redbird has the Red Hawk, which is an amazing retrofit with a diesel engine. And it's pretty neat and amazing to fly. I love how quiet it is, and I love the fact that it's so simple to do a run-up, the amount of fuel it has or doesn't burn. So yeah, we also dabble in airplanes with the amazing Red Hawk.
Where could, if somebody wanted to learn more about Red Hawk, where would they go?
Yeah, to the website, to redhawkaircraft.com.
Okay, great. All right, so let's circle back real quick to the Winging It. Of the stops that you've made, what's been your favorite so far? Can you pick a favorite?
Oh, I don't know if I can. When we were in Manassas, there was pretty stiff crosswinds, and I loved my landing because that was our first episode, and it was recording, and I knew I better do awesome. And I feel like it was like greased on. Probably not to be replicated, but maybe now that I've done crosswind training. So that was pretty awesome. And the medevac simulator was crazy only because I was completely out of my element. My apologies when pilots in the aviation world just go way over the head and talk a foreign language, because medical field was kind of like that too, but they were so awesome in teaching me and bringing me into it. But it's an interesting, different challenge.
Okay, well, great. So let's, outside of aviation, what are your hobbies? What do you do?
Outside of aviation, I'd say my second most favorite thing to do besides flying is to be on my snowboard in the mountains. So it's pretty awesome to be out here in Colorado and see the mountains still so full of snow.
Yeah, that's kind of convenient. And do you think you're going to get working a trip to the mountains while we're here?
Well, I did hear Aviation is still open. So yes.
That's good.
I'm going snowboarding. All
right. So does anybody have any other questions for Britt? I think we'll give it a minute or so and then we'll wrap up. While we're waiting for some more questions, can you tell me, let's see, what who's your aviation role model? Who's your aviation hero, or a couple? Who do you look up to in the industry?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I have a lot of people that I've got to meet and learn from professionally through Women in Aviation. In that organization, a lot of the members of the board there have been so amazing. I think, gosh, I don't know. There's just so many awesome women out there that are such an inspiration. the WASPs, all of them, paved the way. And so anytime I can read a book or an article or something about them and their life stories are an incredible inspiration. So
okay.
That as well. Yeah.
All right. So we got another question on YouTube. Real quick, when did you kind of circle back at the beginning? But when did you get your private pilot's license and where?
I got. It was in 2003 at the University of Illinois. Had a flight program there, and so that's actually what I got to go to school for, was as part of their professional pilot program.
So did you take a discovery flight before you went to school?
Absolutely. I took a discovery flight. My first one was in Joliet, Illinois.
So how could somebody who is interested in aviation get a chance to take a discovery flight? Where would they go? Where would they find that information to do with that?
Your local airport is a great place to start. If you don't know where your local airport is, which you know, is often the case, you can go to the AOPA website. You can go to other, even our Redbird, find a Redbird. If there's a Redbird there, there's going to be you know, a flight school. But just looking up a flight school on the AOPA website is helpful, and calling the flight school and asking to take a discovery flight. They're usually not that expensive, $100 to $150, and you get a taste of it, and then you're hooked.
All right, great. Well, I think we'll call it a night. So if people wanted to follow you on this this journey you're taking, where would they go to do that? www.wingingit.show is where we post all the videos. You can also subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and of course we're using the hashtag #RoadToOsh. All right, great. Actually, let's throw in one more thing. That Road to Osh hashtag reminded me. Where does this whole thing culminate in? What's the end goal?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about where I've been, but where I'm going. Winging It ends at Oshkosh in July in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, at the Pilot Proficiency Center, where we're actually going to bring a lot of the experiences that I've got to do and the way I've expanded my skills to the Pilot Proficiency Center, and you can get in a sim and fly where I've flown. So hopefully I'll see you all. Come say hello to me in Oshkosh.
Great. I do want to give a special shout out to our YouTube follower. I'm going to screw up your name. I'm sorry about it. It's Devin, I think, who will be getting their private pilot's license at Skyport later this year.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
So, all right. Well, thank you very much, Britt, and say goodbye to everyone.
Bye, guys. This has been so fun. Thanks for following us on our adventure.